Between the time when the oceans drank Atlantis and right now, I used to have a band. So, anyway, with the nonsense out of the way, that era of my life kind of ended when I got into a long term relationship that ended around the end of 2021. I know this might not seem that relevant, but it's all kind of leading up to how I got back into music and how my mentality kind of changed with different things. Um, so I was really depressed after that breakup, and it was a couple years after that I ended up in another relationship, and I wouldn't say that I thought it was going to be long term. Maybe it was more that I hoped it would. The girl was really dark. I mean, dark natured, I suppose you could say. And I thought that by being patient with her and understanding and loving her unconditionally, that, I'd draw her away from the dark side, so to speak. But ultimately, that didn't end up happening. And I wouldn't say we parted on horrible terms, but we were not speaking anymore. Um, and I got depressed again after that. And I actually kind of lost faith in humanity at that point because I figured, if being open and honest with people and trying to be patient and understanding and all that other stuff still just backfired in the end, then there was kind of no point in trying anymore. So I started to really keep to myself, like at work or even outside of it. I didn't really have much to do with other people. Every night when I'd go home, I would just get drunk. That relationship ended around the end of the summer in 2023. And I started listening to music towards the end of that year that kind of brought me out of the depression a little bit. Instead of listening to things that kind of kept me there, I listened to things that sort of boosted me up a little bit more. I kind of wanted to just help other people more, and that sort of made me feel better when I was kind of reaching out and making other people feel good. So I just wanted to concentrate on doing that. And I don't know if it was because my disposition had changed or what had happened exactly, but it seemed like all of a sudden a lot of women left and right were wanting to date me. And I really wasn't interested in dating anybody. And I told them that. Um, I kind of just wanted to stay free to make a difference in the world, I guess. And it was the next spring when I started talking to this one girl, and she was a little bit more insistent about dating. And she's like, well, why don't we just meet up and see how things go and whatever, even if it's just like we hang out or whatever for that day. I'm like, all right, that's reasonable. So we met at a town that was in between us. We lived over 3 hours apart. Um, and it was kind of a magical first date, is the only way I could put it. I felt really comfortable with her, like more comfortable than I'd ever felt with anyone in my life. And when I hugged her goodbye, I mean, it was like neither of us wanted to go home. Um, so then we ended up actually dating officially, besides just being on a date. And she met my kid, and I met her kids after a little while, and it felt like a family. Um, and I would try to take the burden off of her, so I would drive to see her more often than she would meet me somewhere. And after a while, something just started to feel off about it. And I'd be driving there, and about an hour into the drive, I'd be like, why am I doing this? I just want to turn around and go home. Something's not right about this. And I would just ignore it. I'd get there, you know, things would feel a little weird for the first half hour or so, and then things were fine again. And then I'd go home, and then we'd start arguing about non existent things, from what I could tell. And as far as I could figure, looking back on what was going on there, I think she might have had something like borderline personality disorder. And I do realize that anyone listening to my version of this story is going to objectively say, well, this is your side of it. Maybe her side would be different. And yeah, I guarantee you her side would be different. But I can say confidently that I had learned enough about relationships at this point to realize when I'm wrong and I can actually admit when I'm wrong. And I was constantly being made the villain by her. And pretty much she'd be saying I said things that I never said. I could prove to her I never said it, but then she'd still be stuck on it. She wouldn't hear a word I was saying. I mean, it was just absolute insanity, but I was attached to, to her and to her kids. And I wanted to make it work. So I just kept hanging in there for a while. But then finally around December of 2024, actually it was like the end of November, but anyway, I just couldn't take it anymore. And I was in the middle of an argument and I'm like, you know what, forget it. Let's just call this off. And I don't remember exactly how the rest of the conversation went, but I ended up just blocking her after it because I didn't want to deal with it anymore. And I don't remember if I felt at all depressed when it ended. I remember feeling relieved, but it was a little bit of a shock to me to have to have blocked her and all that and to walk away. So it was within like a week after not talking to her that things leveled off, and I got this clarity all of a sudden, and my brain was just working faster. I could make connections between different subjects. I was coming up with like theories and just learning things really quick, and it was almost like information was just being thrown in front of me, and it was the missing piece I needed to connect to something else. So I found a few things to do with that at first. It was almost like everything was just kind of boring me. Everything was going so slow compared to the way that my brain was working all of a sudden. I did eventually resume trying to get back into music because obviously all of this threw a wrench in that for a while. My friend Shay at Justify Art, she helped me with the logo, which I'll put in the video here to show the evolution of. I sent her something that I made roughly in Paint, and then she redrew it, and then I kind of corrupted it digitally from what she drew, and then I went and fixed it up later on and made it into an actual polished logo. So even though I was wanting to get back into music, I still just really wasn't moving with it. I had the plan in my head, but I was never really sitting down and actually doing something with it. There was this songwriting group that I was in on Facebook from years before, and I think I even turned the notifications off, so I'm not really sure why I got a notification all of a sudden. But it was saying that this girl had posted a song and she wanted people to check it out. Her name was Christina Mogliano. And normally I would just ignore a notification like that if I got it at all, because I got a little annoyed with that group, everyone basically saying that, and some people being there to, as far as I could tell, to just steal other people's work or something. So I'm not sure what it was, but for some reason I decided that I should listen to her song. So I went and listened to it, and I really liked it, actually. It was called Beauty Cleanse the Mind. I'll put a clip of it here for a second.
Look at the skies painted with the rain. Look at the sunrise, clouds are passing by. Rose in your hair, love will come again. Flames in your eyes, I wish it never died.
Her style reminded me of a lot of the Japanese role-playing games that I grew up with, like Final Fantasy, Wild Arms, Lunar, stuff like that. And the Chrono series especially. So it resonated with me right away hearing her music. It kind of felt like restoring a lost era for me or something. So I started to follow her work, and it just kind of reminded me, by observing her, it sort of reminded me of how it was for me when I had a band and how I felt pursuing music. So it kind of rekindled that in me. I started putting some programs on my computer to use, and this was a really crappy computer I had. I had a little bit of equipment still left over from beforehand. And at the beginning of May, I decided to do a remake of this song of hers called Heaven's Blend.
There's a little sadness, there's a little grace, there's a little fire of the night's embrace. Every tear that falls, every smile I send.
So even though I had a bunch of originals written, it had been so long since I'd done anything with music, so I wanted to kind of start off with covers. I want to say it was partly for practice, to get back into the swing of things, but there was a lot of stuff I never even learned before. So this year I had to learn mixing engineering, and then the mastering process. I kind of taught myself basic animation. I know it's nothing impressive, but my videos are just more symbolic, so, take it or leave it, I guess. I generally tend to change things up when I do a cover. I don't like to do a straight cover of it, so I pretty heavily rearranged her song. I mean, there was absolutely nothing wrong with the song. It was just, if I was going to cover somebody's song in the first place, I don't see a point in doing it if I'm going to do the same thing they did. So I definitely took some artistic license with it. It didn't really have an outro before. It just had a final chorus, and I made like a 2.5 or 3 minute outro. Here's a short sample.
This place should be heaven, a rainbow among the stars. There's a little sadness, there's a little grace, there's a little fire from your night's embrace. Every tear that falls, every smile I send, there's a little sadness, there's a little grace. Every tear that falls.
So I really wouldn't group this one into the practice category, because it was done with a pretty minimal arrangement, and this was something I was pretty comfortable pulling off. So I still think this one holds up pretty well. But I didn't really want to get back into playing alternative music. I wanted to do more of a synth-based pop kind of style. But there is some obvious raw emotion that I put into covering her song. And I don't see it as a song that was kind of my first step and then I improved from there. I think it'll always hold up on its own. So when I speak about the next succession of songs, covers that I did throughout the year, I'll kind of speak in like how I got better with each one or what I learned from each one. But yeah, I don't include Christina's song in there because it really didn't need to be topped or improved upon. So then I tried to go full on pop with the next song, and it felt like it failed miserably. I was like, man, I'm not really sounding as smooth as a pop singer does, and I was kind of discouraged by it. So I had worked on the song for about 2 weeks, and then I just kind of tossed it. I mean, I still have the files, and I might actually do something with the background to make an original song now, but trying to sing the song I was working on it just wasn't coming out right. So then in June, I tried a different one, and I did Hall & Oates Out of Touch, and that's this here.
Broken nights and melting sun, times that are broken can often be won again. I'm so alone, and your soul really matters to me. You're out of touch, I'm out of time, but I'm out of my head when you're not around.
And that one I think actually turned out pretty good. I was pretty happy with that. So then I believe it was right after I was done with that one and ready to start on another song that my computer died. So this was like $100 refurbished computer that I was using, and I was kind of amazed that it held up to run like these newer programs like Samplitude X8 and FL Studio 24. Now with all the other stuff that I was learning, I had to learn to build a computer from scratch because I didn't want to just buy one that wasn't really going to hold up too much better than that one had. And I really wanted to customize it and make it something that would last for years and kind of be overpowered for the task. So here's some pictures showing the process of building it and then the finished build. The vents were originally black and I spray painted those red because that's kind of my theme in the studio here. I like my surroundings to kind of feel inspiring, and I don't know, when they're aesthetically right, I think it kind of helps my brain focus when I'm trying to sit down and record in here. So with that up and running, I tried to do a cover of Collective Soul's All. And in my head, it was kind of like if David Bowie and the Cars collaborated and did this song. And then they decided it was trash, so they threw it away. And then Tears for Fears found it in the garbage, and they're like, hey, we can re-record this and it'll save our careers. But then it just kind of doesn't. So that's pretty much how that song went. I kind of viewed it a little bit as a flop. I mean, everything I have is a flop at this point in making this video, just because, I don't have much views on it. But I guess for me, I wasn't all that happy with how it turned out, as opposed to the first two. But I tried to concentrate more on the animation in this one, and I set it up to where it was kind of like watching a play, where everything takes place on the one screen. And then even at the end, if you turn the closed captions on, there's still things being narrated that aren't part of the lyrics. So it's almost like a Greek chorus kind of explaining things.
I'd walk on water just for you. Yeah, all is all I can give you. All is all I can do. Oh, it's all I'd wish for if I'm with you.
So then the next one that I covered was Gin Blossom's Hey Jealousy. And some of this I had actually had worked up a little bit from back when I had a band. And I just kind of never finished it. So now that I was getting better with sequencing and, working in FL Studio, I was able to do a lot more interesting things with it. So I was pretty content with how that one turned out. The video, I was trying to kind of parallel the myth of Sisyphus, where he's pushing a boulder up the hill every day and then it just rolls back down and then he has to do it again. But in the video, I'm pushing a car, so sometimes it's actually going backwards. And then at the end, I finally get it up the hill and I just push it off like it's nothing.
Tomorrow I can drive around this town. Let my thoughts chase me around. The past is gone and someone who's been found to take my place. Hey, jealousy. There's only one thing I could start.
So I think around then I had stuck to nothing but these animated videos and nobody even saw what I looked like. So I decided to start something called the Sunlight Sessions, where I sit at the window with my 12-string acoustic and just play with the light coming in around me. And I did a cover of 3 Days Grace, Never Too Late.
No one will ever see the side reflected. And if I don't belong, who would have guessed it?
So then around Halloween, I was trying to work on a cover of Lady Gaga's Monster. And if you actually listen to it all the way through, it doesn't sound weird. I mean, as far as it sounding like I'm singing about a guy. But I felt like my production skills had really improved by this one. There's a lot of subtle things going on in the instrumentation, and I was kind of still experimenting vocally, so, maybe that left a little to be desired. But for me, it was kind of just something to have out in time for Halloween, and, these aren't songs I wrote. I mean, I might rework them and change some lyrics and things like that, but they're not something I'm going to spend the rest of my life working on. There's a certain point with covers where it's just like, okay, it's good enough, and I'm going to move on from here.
He's a wolf in disguise, but I can't stop staring in those evil eyes. I asked my girlfriend if she'd seen you around before. She mumbled something while we got down on the floor. Baby, we might have fucked, not really sure, don't quite recall. But something tells me that I've seen him, yeah. That boy is a monster. That boy is a monster.
So on my Facebook page, I started doing a quote of the week, I think around this point. And it's pretty much just if I'm reading something throughout the week, I try to quote mine from it and share the quote on the page. And it's kind of just a little Sunday ritual, I guess you'd say. It keeps me reading regularly and actually looking for something meaningful to share that is reflective of the way that I think or what might be going on in my life at the time. I don't know. I suppose it's whatever anyone gets out of it if they read it. Here's what I have so far. I'll just flash through them really quick. Okay, so the last cover that I did for the year was Live Forever by Oasis. And I felt like by this point, my production skills were pretty much where I wanted them to be. If I have something in my head, I can kind of make that actually happen now. Vocally, I think I'm pretty comfortable with it. I did upgrade a couple things since recording that, so my next recording will actually sound even better. I also felt like the animation in this sort of told the story that I wanted to tell. So all around, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I think it's actually one of my more meaningful covers.
Hold you to your bone. Maybe I will never be all the things that I want to be. Now is not the time to cry. Now's the time to find out why. I think you're the same as me. We see things they'll never see. You and I can live forever.
So yeah, I mean, if you haven't heard all of my songs at this point, or all my covers, go back and listen to the evolution of them anyway. And I'm going to be starting 2026 off with my originals only. If I do any covers, they're just going to be some quick live ones. They're not going to be full arrangements for the time being. Because I do want to concentrate on getting my original album done. And I'm not going to be doing animations for my original songs. So now I'm kind of learning to do a little bit more with actual live video. And coming up with ideas. I've got, I think 4 or 5 out of the songs. I've got the video scripted. They're all pretty much done production wise, and they're fully written. So it's just gonna be a matter of sitting down, recording them, and then using the mixing and mastering skills that I'm hopefully good enough to pull off at this point. I've got a couple other ideas for 2026 that I want to do. Everything has sort of a mythological undertone to it. I mean, I make a lot of references to classic legends or books and things like that in my visuals and just the way I structure things, or even just the way I view life in general. It's kind of the framework I live within. So there's plenty of little, I guess you can call them like Easter eggs and things hidden throughout all of my work. And I don't know, if anybody is paying close enough attention, I think they'll have fun in the long run, looking back through different things I did and seeing things that are hidden in them.